André, many thanks as always for your time this evening. So a solid 6 months, but the utility forecasting an annual loss of about 22 billion rand. That's worrying. And maybe just talk us through the anticipated drivers there.
Well, the major reason for the profit in the first half, obviously, is that we've had very good cost control. I think we have managed to keep a cap on our primary energy costs. We have been able to contain our diesel costs to 30% below what we incurred in the prior year. And then, of course, Eskom is a seasonal business. So during wintertime, we have higher tariffs, but also higher consumption. During the second half of the year, we anticipate to have lower sales volumes, not only due to the potential knock-on impact of COVID lockdown regulations, which we are awaiting with keen interest to be announced by the President tonight, but also because of lower sales volumes due to warmer temperatures. And of course, then the debt cost of servicing our very significant debt burden will still amount to some 30 billion rand for the full year. So that is why we are forecasting still, unfortunately, a loss for the full year.
Yeah. Now, let's speak about the recovery of the 1.56 billion rand from ABB South Africa. You've said it's a crucial milestone in the fight against corruption and state capture. How much more is there to recover, André?
So we've identified irregular payments at Kusile to a total of 3.3 billion rand. That's in addition to what we've now recovered from ABB. So we are engaging with those companies. We are encouraging to settle with us. We believe that the precedent set by ABB to avoid a protracted legal process is a desirable one for all concerned. And the alternative, of course, is that we work with the SIU and pursue those funds where we believe that they were unlawfully paid. Once we've dealt with Kusile, then, of course, we'll move our attention to Medupi and also Ingula, where we also are of the view that there were irregular payments, and we will have to quantify those and then pursue the companies in question.
Something else to pursue here, André. A top executive at Eskom quietly enjoyed free electricity at his home for about 14 years. How did this happen at a time when you're calling on municipalities to pay up and you're asking for tariffs to go up? That was a serious lack of oversight, wouldn't you say?
This is a terribly disappointing episode. We had to suspend the executive in question with immediate effect as soon as we had concluded our preliminary investigation, which showed that there were sufficient grounds for that suspension to be effected. So that took place. But all in all, it's an episode that has created significant embarrassment for us. So you are absolutely right that at a time when we are appealing to people to pay what is due to Eskom, to have this going on in our own executive team is simply unpalatable. We've therefore already launched an audit of all of our directors and all of our senior executives to ensure that we comply with the law. And obviously we'll take the necessary steps to recover the overdue money from the executive in question.
Right. Now, another big elephant in the room, André, is the load shedding. What are your predictions for 2021, given what we've seen in the past weekend?
So, for the financial year to date, bearing in mind that our financial year started in March of this year, we've had a total of 20 days of load shedding for the 9 months past. During the previous financial year, ended March 2020, we had a total of 46 days of load shedding, including that very bad period for Eskom where we implemented stage 6 load shedding on the 9th of December of last year. So the run rate so far this year is significantly better, but bear in mind that we have consistently, at least since January of this year when I joined Eskom, warned the South African public that we had to do catch-up maintenance in order to pay attention to those units where midlife refurbishments were not done, and that would create an increased risk of load shedding. At this point in time, we have just under 8,000 megawatts of capacity out on maintenance. This is equivalent to more than 2 power stations that we are out on outage to do this catch-up maintenance. And once those units come back by about March of next year, there will be a step change in the risk of load shedding. We will then take the second batch of units off for maintenance and complete that by September of next year, and then the risk of load shedding will be substantially reduced, not entirely eliminated, because we need new generation capacity to be added, but then the stability of our system should be significantly improved.
A final thought from you very briefly, André. What are you expecting to hear from Ramaphosa, given that the restrictions, as you mentioned earlier, did have an impact on revenue and activity at Eskom?
I wouldn't want to second-guess my boss. I leave that up to him.
Thank you very much for those insights at Eskom CEO André Ruyter.